So in here, we're going to work on simplifying expressions, identifying what a term is, what a numerical coefficient is, how to combine those like terms, and then how to get expressions from word phrases. So when we're simplifying expressions, we're going to be applying the properties that we talked about in the last recording, as well as our basic arithmetic rules. So if I want to simplify the following expression, this would be the distributive property. So I'm going to have to do 5 times the 4x and 5 times the 3y. Then I'm going to use my arithmetic rules just to simplify and get 20 minus 15y. In this example, I have a negative in front of the parentheses, which we talked about in the previous session. This is seen as a negative 1. So you're distributing negative 1 to each value inside the parentheses by multiplication. When I have minus a negative, it becomes plus a positive. Then I have like terms. What are like terms? Well, negative 7 and 9 do not have a variable, they're just numbers. So they are alike. I can combine those by doing negative 7 plus 9, which is going to be 2 plus 6k. I cannot combine the 2 and the 6k because they are not like terms. The 2 would have to have a matching variable with the same exponent to be able to combine those. So a term is the number or the variable that is being added in a problem. So these are all examples of different terms that you will see in questions. The coefficient would be the number in front of a variable in a term. So in the example that they're given, 9x, the coefficient is 9. 15y squared, the coefficient is 15. Once we know this, we can start classifying what we call like terms. So I like to say this, say you've got a bag of M&Ms and you want to group things together. I'm going to group all the greens, all the reds, all the yellows because they're alike. They're put into groups. The same thing occurs in algebra. For terms to be alike, they have to have the same letter and they have to have the same exponent. So if you look at the column of like terms versus unlike terms, you're going to see that those have specifically the same variable or letter and the same exponent for each one. So to combine like terms, we can use the distributive property to distribute something into parentheses, or we can factor something out. And this is kind of the process that's happening behind the scenes when you combine like terms. So I know that 5z plus 9z minus 4z, those are all 3 like terms. So I could just do 5 plus 9 is 14, minus 4 is 10. So my final answer is 10z. This is the actual algebra that is happening behind the scenes for that. So this is the why behind the what. I can factor a z out, then I'm just completing that step. Do you have to show this step? No. But it's helpful to understand why we can combine those terms. And it's because really, in essence, we're doing that distributive property backwards. For r minus r, those are 2 like terms, so I can just do 4 minus 1, which is 3. And then c, they have the same letter, but they don't have the same exponent, so they can't be combined. That's my final answer, 8p plus 8p squared. That's as far as I can go with it. To simplify an expression, there are some basic things that have to be met. I need all the grouping symbols to have been removed. Parentheses, brackets, all those things need to be removed. All like terms have to be combined, and any operations that have been indicated to be done are done. What does that look like? So I'm looking at this question. I need to get rid of the grouping first. So I'm going to distribute negative 1 into that parentheses. Once I have that done, I can see that 5k, or negative 5k, and 7k are like terms. They have the same variable with the same exponent. Again, we don't need to show that factoring step. We can just do negative 5 plus 7, which is going to be 2. So notice I'm skipping that middle step of showing that factoring out now that we're actually getting into some of the problems. Here, again, we have to basically distribute that negative first into the parentheses. That's always what you want to do first. Once I've distributed that negative through, now I can combine my like terms. Well, I have 7z and negative z are alike. 7 minus 1 is 6. Negative 2 and negative 1 are also alike. So those are going to be negative 3. Now I'm going to talk about simplifying those expressions like we did earlier in the course. If I have 3 times a number, subtracted from implies backwards. So remember that 3 times a number needs to come behind that subtraction symbol, the sum of the number and 8. So when I see of, I'm grouping things together. The sum of tells me to group that together, and subtracted from means it comes behind the subtraction symbol. Now to simplify this, I don't have anything to distribute to x plus 8, so I can drop that grouping parenthesis. Now I have like terms. I have x and negative 3x. Those are like terms. So 1 plus negative 3 is negative 2x plus 8. That's as far as I can take that because those are not like terms.